Insomnia movie reviews. That seems to be when I have some of my best thinking times. Woke up at 2 a.m., couldn't sleep, laid in bed until 4, and then finally, to continue the director theme from yesterday, we were reviewing another John Huston movie. This was released the same year as Fat City, which we reviewed yesterday, so back-to-back years. The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean, starring Paul Newman. 123-minute runtime, and let's talk about this VHS. I like these early videotapes from the early 80s. This is a 1983 copy, and I also like this particular tape because it is an ex-rental copy. Be kind, rewind, and it was originally from a place called Just Video, 152 West Stockton Road in Sonora, which is about 30 miles east of where I currently live. X-Video rental, folks. Okay, so let's talk about this particular film. You can tell a lot about a movie by the back of the box, which I don't always read the back of the box, but we're going to try and do some filler here. The Tall Tale Saga of the Frontier Legend. They called him the hanging judge, but he wasn't really a judge at all. And we'll go on from there because then they start beefing up what they want you to feel about this particular picture. So again, this movie, 1972, 173-minute runtime, second film in a row that I'm going to be reviewing by John Huston. This is another one of those movies which seemed to be popular in the early 70s. The end of the Old West and the coming in of the New Age. If I'm comparing it to another film by Sam Peckinpah, I don't know, Ballad of Cable Hogue, which I reviewed on my last channel, I feel like these two films fit in a similar genre. This is not the superior of those similar genre films. This is called a comedy western. It is more tame than the Ballad of Cable Hogue. That movie was rated R, a lot more gratuitous sex in that movie, and this movie's rated PG. Although a 1970s PG is a lot more crude than any PG film of today. So, Paul Newman. This was a story written by screenplay writer with the last... No, John Milius? I don't know how to pronounce that. Milius. Let's just say Milius. This guy, Milius, he wrote this story, and he wanted it to be a Sergio Leone-style, low-budget spaghetti western shot in Spain, and he wanted this guy, Warren Oates, to be the star in the movie. The studio really wanted the script and paid him an astounding, for the time, $300,000 for his movie treatment. They really wanted it. Paul Newman had read the script, and then he wanted to star in it, so they got the story from Milius. And then this is kind of an example of studios doing what they want and just completely disregarding the author's vision for what they had for their film. This movie was supposed to be a lot darker. Milius hated this version of his story. He did not like Paul Newman as the star of the film, and he just felt like he was this pretty boy that didn't do the part justice. And I don't know, like, there was parts of the film that I really liked, but overall, if I'm comparing it to other period westerns, like, of the similar genre, like I mentioned, the Ballad of Cable Hogue, it's not a better film than that. Yes, there's some heart-wrenching moments. It's basically a story about this guy that goes into the Old West and just appoints himself as a judge and rains down fire and brimstone and fury and kind of creates this whole town where he's the law. And he just kills people that he feels are not law-abiding citizens and establishes himself ruler of the Texas frontier west of the Pecos. So this movie, interestingly, director John Huston does a cameo as Grizzly Adams in one scene. They just started bringing in a lot of gimmicks, and to me, there was scenes that felt cheesy. That was another thing. Milius hated the fact that it wasn't as dark as he wanted it to be. They have Andy Williams do this song, and there's a love sequence there. They bring in a black bear for comedic relief, but I liked it. I didn't think it was terrible. I would say this movie is a fun movie. if you just want to laugh and have a good time, this is an enjoyable movie. It's long. I thought maybe it was a little bit too long, and they span a very great deal of time, like 30 to 40 years worth of time are transpiring, and you kind of see the fading of the Old West into the new. It was very popular at the box office. It was about a $4 million budget, and it grossed over $16 million. So again, it's more tame than Ballad of Cable Hogue and any Sam Peckinpah movie. But if you like movies of this genre and you like movies from the early 70s where there's a specific vibe, then I think that you will enjoy it. But it's just not my favorite movie. I was borderline 4 out of 5, but I think I'm going to settle on 3.5 out of 5. It was good, but there was things that I didn't like and there's things that I did like. It just seemed campy and cheesy at some points. But like I said, if you just want to have fun, sit back, VHS movie night with your pals, or maybe a restored clear DVD copy. Because this, I will say, that's the one thing about VHS. I feel like some of it was lost on me because this VHS copy was not very good. Sometimes I'll get a VHS and it's as good as DVD quality. Some of these earlier tapes, they don't master them very well. They just pull from source material, and it's not very good. So I would be interested to see this movie in a cleaner copy. Stacy Keach does a cameo in this movie. Tab Hunter's in it. Stacy Keach was, as you remember in the last film, doesn't have a main role. He has a bit part in this movie. Yeah, it's an interesting film, to say the least. So, and, you know, I think RT, Rotten Tomatoes, is probably kind of close to what I think that I gave it. 80% Rotten Tomatoes score, and IMDb 6.8 out of 10. So that's my review, and I think this review is setting up the screenplay writer that sold the rights to the film, John Milius. He was so upset that he lost control over his story. It spurred him to move on to direct. And he went on to direct an iconic movie, which we will be reviewing next, Dirty Harry, 1971. And there is some Clint Eastwood movies on my old channel. The movie that kind of started this genre is Coogan's Bluff, and that's on my old channel. You'll just have to dig. Maybe I'll put the links in the description for my other movies that I've reviewed that I've kind of mentioned. Until next time, folks, we will see you then. Thanks for coming along.